Hello again, and thank you for that, Julie. Well, this time last week, I think we went on a bit of a limb and said, watch what happens to gas prices, especially in Eastern Canada. Not many people paid attention to those predictions. They sure did. By Wednesday and Thursday, lineups in many cities across Quebec and Ontario really seemed to catch the attention of pretty much everyone. That's, of course, we did make that switch from winter to summer gasoline. There is a big difference in price for premiers Ford and others. By federal law and by by provincial law, all gasoline dispensed in Canada as of April the 15th every year up until September the 14th of every year must be summer blended gasoline. That means the gasoline that's in the tanks in the storage facilities must all be of that spec. That spec is more expensive because of alkylates. The price has gone through the roof as more car companies are required to squeeze ever greater efficiency from their vehicles as EPA and governments have tried to, of course, eliminate internal combustion engines. Good luck with that. But nevertheless, people who are cool with ever more stringent requirements have to be prepared to pay for what they're demanding. And if they don't realize there's a cost to that, well, then that's just too bad. We call that ignorance. But in Canada, of course, it means that gas prices have moved up substantially compared to this time last year, at least 10 cents a liter above. And while that's troubling news, there are some good signs. We're seeing in British Columbia, especially in Vancouver, Lower Mainland, prices have dropped about 10 cents a liter, or will do so by tomorrow, Saturday. The rest of British Columbia can expect about a 2-cent decrease by next week. And of course, Alberta, again, moving down about 3 cents this week, and continue to pay prices in the 158, 156 range, sometimes a little higher, but most stations around that average. Saskatchewan, again, not much ever happens there as far as gas prices are concerned, but modestly moving down to the 155 range, whereas Manitoba will continue to remain at $1.43. Ontario, which hit $1.79.9, as I had predicted a couple of days earlier, has now moved back to about $1.73. Look for that to pretty much remain the same. And of course, 9 cents more expensive, so $1.81 on average this week, with not much pressure upwards or downwards for Quebec. Maritimes can actually expect a small decrease in gasoline prices. We're likely looking at a scenario where they could see gasoline drop about 3 cents a liter next week and 5 to 6 cents for diesel. Diesel's critical because this time of year, we use less of it. It's not used as a proxy for heating oil. So diesel prices across Canada generally look for them to drop at least 5 cents a liter. We're already starting to see that in many places. Look, this week, of course, featured a couple of other factors that may have been overlooked. And that's because the last time we spoke, Julie, there was no Iranian attack on Israel, nor was there a response. Markets have been extraordinarily quiet and muted. And this suggests to me something that's far more serious, because it is a real geopolitical factor, and it should be pushing up prices. The fact that oil has shed about $3 a barrel, or just under 3% of its value in the past week, despite these tensions, despite strong demand, despite all of the nonsense that headline news of slowing economies, the reality is demand is up in China, it's up in the United States, it's up in Europe. There's no way that the markets can continue to fudge or hide from this. So we have today an investigation now and a declaration by some trading houses in the United States saying that there has been a concerted effort to short oil and commodities like gasoline and diesel, meaning they're trying to profit by deliberately sinking the price of energy. Now, relatively speaking, most of us aren't happy about that, but because we'd like to see lower prices. But when you game the system, you wind up ultimately hurting the competitive process, ruining something as important as price discovery, and you wind up seeing prices going much higher than they ought to be, certainly with very little opportunity for adjustment. So that's where we are this week. I just wanted to make a point about those who are concerned about gas prices, and because it's been political, my name's been mentioned by the Liberals in the House of Commons. I want to make it very clear to Liberals who might be listening. Your government is responsible for a 20 cent a liter carbon tax that's going to go higher, and your gamesmanship with net zero, All these policies have led to a destruction or a crippling of the Canadian dollar, such that it takes 32 cents a liter to buy one to be the equivalent of the U.S. dollar. That 32 cents a liter and 20 cents plus carbon tax means that Canadians are paying about 50 to 55 cents a liter more than they ought to. That's because of the Liberal NDP Green Bloc policy that is affecting the price of energy. Concerned about the price of energy, you know who to blame: the folks in power who are pushing the pursuit of net zero. That's it for this week, Julie. We'll talk next week.